we covered, briefly learning theories. We talked about the three different domains of learning. Now we're just going to focus on Bloom's taxonomy. Okay. So why do we use Bloom's taxonomy? As I mentioned earlier, the whole goal of Bloom's taxonomy is to give you a common language around teaching and learning goals. And depending on what you're trying to teach, it allows you to design your courses to reach that level of complexity. It helps you align between learning objectives, learning activities, and learning assessments. So Bloom's arranged these from, the simple form of remembering to then going to understanding, then going to applying, to analyzing, to evaluating, and to creating. And for Bloom's taxonomy, he did, these are put in the level of complexity, meaning, remembering is kind of the simplest and easiest form of learning. And then as you go up, it requires more and more complexity and more ability of knowledge. So what are the different steps? So let's go over each one of them. So when we say remembering, it's knowledge. It's just recalling data or recalling information. So some of the keywords that would be used with defining would be, with remembering would be, somebody can define something, or somebody can describe something. Somebody is able to identify, they can label, they can list, they can recall. So these are some keywords that would be used under remembering. The next level would be understanding, and the good word to think about is comprehension. So does this person not only remember what they have learned, but do they understand in what context to use it? So words that would be associated with that would be they comprehend, they can convert, they can explain, or they can summarize. The next level would be applying. Now, not only do they remember, not only do they understand or comprehend, this level of learning, the students will be able to apply what they've learned to a new scenario. So keywords associated with that would be chains, computes, that they can demonstrate, they can modify, or they can solve problems. From applying, then another level would be an ability to analyze, seeing a situation, being able to break down what the situation is going, and being able to make an assessment. So keywords associated with analyzing would be, breaks down, somebody's able to compare and contrast between different things. Somebody has the ability to differentiate, and somebody has the ability to infer based on the information that they have. The next level from that would be evaluating, and that is a higher form of learning, and that would be making judgment. So keywords that would go with evaluating would include they're able to appraise, someone's able to conclude, someone is able to defend, or someone is able to criticize what was done, someone is able to evaluate, someone is able to justify their stance, or someone is able to support a certain type of thinking or a certain decision that was made. And then lastly, the highest level of learning in cognitive domain would be creating. So this is someone has the ability to take all the information they have and do further research or reading and training and be able to create something new. Some keywords used for creating would be someone can combine, someone can compose, someone can create, someone can design, someone can generate, someone can reconstruct, or someone writes. So it's really helpful for your, let's say if you're going to give a class, you think about, okay, so in this class is my expectation for the students to be just to remember what I've taught them, or is it, that I want them to be able to analyze what I'm going to teach them. So depending on what you decide, your goals and objectives for that particular class activity will change on how you arrange things. So we're just gonna go over some examples and see where we think they fall. So let's say you just gave a lecture on muscle relaxants and their use. The next day you ask the students to name 3 out of 5 muscle relaxant agents you taught them yesterday. One of your students answers correctly. So which Bloom's taxonomy does this fall under? Anybody?
Is it remembering?
Remembering. Yes, I would agree. Okay. Next, you just gave a lecture on muscle relaxants and their use. The next day, you ask a student how succinylcholine works and what makes it different from the other muscle relaxants. So which Bloom's taxonomy does this fall under?
Understanding.
Understanding. Yes. Okay. Next one. You just gave a lecture on muscle relaxants and their use. The next day, you present a case of a patient that needs rapid sequence intubation and ask the students how to induce anesthesia. One student describes his choice of succinylcholine for muscle relaxant, including risk and benefits. Which Bloom's taxonomy does this fall under?
Analyzing.
Applying.
Applying. I would say that they're applying. Good. All right. The last 2 weeks as a class, you've been learning about neuromuscular diseases and their anesthetic implications. At the end of the 2 weeks, you present a case complication that happened in the operating theater with a patient that has a neuromuscular disease. One of your students is able to identify parts of the complication in the case that are related to the patient's neuromuscular disease. Which Bloom's taxonomy does this fall under?
Analyzing.
Analyzing. That's correct. All right. The last 2 weeks as a class, you have been learning about neuromuscular diseases and their anesthetic implications. You hold a special session where 2 students debate the use of succinylcholine in patients with myasthenia gravis. Both of them defend their side of their argument well. Which Bloom's taxonomy does this fall under?
Evaluating.
Evaluating. Okay, good.
Evaluating.
Good.
Could it also be analyzed?
Yeah, so, usually we try to pick kind of the bigger level that they have done. Yes, they have analyzed the information, but not only have they analyzed, they've gotten to the level of evaluating. Okay. The last 2 weeks as a class, you've been learning about neuromuscular diseases and their anesthetic implications, but there's no literature on this topic for low resource settings. You and a student plan to write a short paper on how to manage these patients in low resource settings based on your clinical experience. Which Bloom's taxonomy does this fall under?
Creating.
Creating. Good. So, if you paid attention, all the things that I said were under the umbrella of muscle relaxant. muscle relaxants, right? But, you know, on the same topic, depending on what we wanted the students to know, there was a different level of complexity, right? So in my mind, I think about, okay, you know, first year residents in the same topic in muscle relaxation, what do I expect them to be able to accomplish? Second year residents, what do I expect them to accomplish? Third year residents, what do I expect them to accomplish? So if I have the same block in neuromuscular blockage, as an educator, what I prepare first year will be different than what I prepare for second year, will be different than what I prepare for third year. Is that part clear? So it's not, you know, a new knowledge, but it's really thinking about how you would organize your classes and being intentional about deciding where, at what level that you're going to teach. Okay?